Well, actress and activist Noa Tishby is here. Uncomfortable Conversations with a Jew is the name of the book. It'll be available for pre-order wherever you find finer books.
It's available now.
Oh,
yeah.
For pre-order.
Pre-order.
Yes.
Co-written with Emmanuel Acho. Co-written with, because Emmanuel Acho he did Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man.
Yeah.
And that was a New York Times bestseller.
I didn't hear the co-written part. I just heard co-written with Emmanuel Acho, and I was like, I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. There's a weird word.
Right. Oh, good.
Slurred.
So you got it.
Yeah. So we got it. So we decided to write a book together about the Jewish community because there's some shit happening.
Hot topic.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Last time I was here, we talked about how things are horrible and about anti-Semitism, the rise of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, and it only got worse.
Yeah.
We didn't fix it.
I didn't fix it, no.
I
didn't fix an issue that's been around for, as long as Jews have been around.
Well, I don't really have a Jew in the fight, but I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I've always had them in my life, and I just sort of understood that they seem to be the saner of most groups, and I was kind of an easy. Okay, here's what I want to say. Sometimes you can know too much, and sometimes you have a pure grasp of things by not being buried in names and statistics and regions and dates and history. I'm just like, every Jew I've ever known has been family-oriented, peaceful, and the least likely to throw down, fight, abandon their kids, whatever, be a ne'er-do-well alcoholic dad or whatever. And that's all I need to know about that region. If you just said, I don't know, I feel that way about when Mormons and stuff. Like in general, like they're not as prone as other groups, especially in that region.
Well, exactly. So we're not going to talk about Mormons right now because I'm not that versed in that, but I'll tell you this. You're talking about anecdotally something that is true. The Jewish community is extraordinarily strong and extraordinarily family-oriented and really celebrates education and community. And these are things that it's steeped in the culture and the religion and the tradition in Israel, in everything that has to do with it. And it's a part of how we see it. This is a part of what we kind of want to give to the world. Like if everybody can be more community-oriented and charity-oriented, family-oriented, that would be a great thing. And that is true for Israel as well. But what has been happening in America and in the West is a slow burn, kind of like a slow-moving terrorist attack, delegitimizing Israel's standing in the world as a Jewish state, literally delegitimizing Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. It prepared the ground. It's resting on top of deep-rooted anti-Semitism that exists in society as a subconscious bias and has been for a very long time. And it's been kind of, there's been a brainwashing of the population that's been going on for literally 30 years, that when October 7th happened, the greatest massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust, so barbaric and so sadistic and so torturous and with systematic raping and mutilation of the body and with the intention of slaughtering Jews, a lot of people in Western civilization were equivocating it. We're going, yes, but. We're saying, well, you have to have a context. And we were it was devastating. And for the Jewish community, this came up as, the way it showed up for the Jewish community is there were the atrocities of October 7th and the atrocities of October 8th. Because on October 7th, Hamas went out and did what they actually tell us that they're going to do. You know, that whole thing of, somebody tells you who you are, believe them the first time. That culture tells us what they want to do. Like the whole concept of Israel first, America, death to Israel, death to America, it's not a joke. There's not hyperbole. That's what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
So Hamas went out and did that, and within a day, without Israel doing anything in return, there were groups in America that were siding with Hamas, calling it resistance, calling it, decolonization. And that was something that was shocking for the majority of the Jewish community and a lot of normal people around the world, too. Honestly.
I'm trying to figure out how much of it is anti-Semitism versus just anti-American establishment, just sort of, every college student is just a fuckstick now who just goes, you go, well, let's talk about the border. What would a sane person want? Like, they'd want a fence and they'd want security. Okay, then I'm against that. And then what about sexual? What about a man and a woman? Well,
it's a construct.
What would an older person from a saner version of this society want? What would your dad say? He'd say there's a man. Okay, well, then I'm against that. I do think there's a substantial amount of people that are literally just disagreeing with everything that, you saw it with Trump. There's Trump derangement syndromes. Like Trump said crazy things and Trump said normal things. And even when he said a normal thing, he's just, we're going to do it. If Trump said, I think aircraft should have landing gear, these people will be like, we got to get rid of the landing gear from aircraft. No, sorry, belly landings. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're going to ditch in the Pacific. We're not doing it. Like they literally they fuck themselves because he'd just go, well, we need more police. All right, we need less police. Oh, we need a border. Well, we need less border. We need this. I think the New World Order on the college campus with the 19-year-old dingbats, way too many chicks, by the way. It's insane. They don't know from the river to the sea, or they don't know Palestine, Hamas. They don't know raid on Entebbe. They don't fucking know anything. All they know is the folks with the squares with the cardigans who are older want this, and I just want that. I just want the opposite.
And you're pointing out to something that is even more accurate than maybe we're discussing right now, because what you're just so. And I'm generalizing, right? But a lot of the people in that movement, they also hate America.
Oh yeah.
And
they hate their dads. They hate
their dads are
dads,
American.
And we are. That's
I'm an immigrant,
point
right?
You move out.
I'm an immigrant. I became an American citizen, and as an American citizen, I became so patriotic. Like I think this is the greatest experiment of humanity. And a lot of those people, some of them are friends, are literally saying America needs to be taken. It's basically taking the baby with the bathwater. Now, what we've seen throughout history is that anti-Semitism, whenever a society shows signs of anti-Semitism, that means that there's something going off in society.
Yes.
So it's almost an indication. It's called the canary in the coal mine. The Jews are the canary in the coal mine. And they're basically, when society starts turning on its Jews, on a minority, right? That's when you indication that there's something off in society. Now, here's the funny part about that whole campus insanity, anti-Zionism, anti-Semitism, which is, exactly the same. We can talk about that in a second, but it's exactly the same, right?
And boycott and divest has been going on for a while.
They're literally, that movement is literally against peace, against two-state solutions, against the Jews, right? But here's the funny part about this. Those people on college campus, they think they're speaking truth to power.
Yes.
Right? They think they're calling down, taking down the man, and we're calling down, we're taking down the patriarchy. When they're actually picking on the tiniest minority in the world that has been picked on for thousands of years. So it's almost, if it wouldn't have been so sad, it would have been a little funny that they don't even see the irony of what it is that they're doing, because taking down the patriarchy, quote unquote, would have serious consequences. But going after the Jews, that's as old as time. That's literally thousands of years old.
Yes.
And that's what we're dealing right now. And I feel with the work that I do and the work that a lot of us do in the Jewish community and the allies of the Jewish community, is that our job is to point out that there's something off. Like if you're turning against, if there's a massacre in Israel against Jewish people, and then in Western civilization people immediately call to gas the Jews, there's a problem.
Well, you're going to have a harder time convincing people because
I had a really easy time up until now.
No, convincing people, talking them out of irrational thoughts is much harder than sharing information with them that then makes them think differently. Because you're insane if you think that way in the first place. And now it's sort of the difference between, you might be able to talk some gangbanger out of shooting a rival gangbanger because you explain to him that this guy apologized or he said he respects you or something. But if their dog is commanding them to kill, good fucking luck, society.
Right.
We're not talking them out of it.
There's no rational conversation to be had.
Their stuff is so far gone. I mean, it is so abundantly clear who Israel is and who their horrible neighbors are.
Yeah, and what culture, what's jihadi culture that we're dealing with.
Yes, and if you've somehow arrived at this place, we're going to have a hard time talking you out of it because it's not based on anything.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I moved to America, if you read my first book, it's called Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth. And I tell the story of Israel from a point of view of someone who's a liberal, kind of raised super progressive. So I come from the left side, as family, left side of the political map. Yeah. And when I moved to America, it was really interesting for me to realize this, right? Even as an Israeli, a progressive Israeli, right? We all knew, and I'm going to say something that might be challenging for people to grasp, right? That not all cultures are equal.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, you have to judge.
They're not. They're not. There is this whole concept of you do you.
No.
Doesn't apply, as far as I'm concerned, to jihadism, to genital mutilation, to honor killing. It doesn't apply to that culture that belittles women, that it's a political manifestation of rape culture. I don't think that culture is as equal as it is to our culture. And I knew that as an Israeli, even a progressive one, that I came over and I would hear people say stuff like, well, every mother just wants her children to grow up and, live. And I'm like, well, if you're a jihadist, you believe that if you die, you elevate yourself to 72 virgins and you become a martyr, you become a saint. And if I kill you, that's a good thing. This doesn't equate to our culture. It just doesn't. And we have to be able to acknowledge this as liberals, if we want to be liberals, in order to strengthen the liberals and the progressives within the Muslim community that are trying to tell us for years that there's an issue. But progressives in America don't want to listen to it.
Well, here's the problem, amongst many. We, on the liberal left here, college campuses, the Squad, Rashida Tlaib and all the other fucking nut jobs
Rashida
out there.
Tlaib basically voting against condemning rape.
Well, what?
Just saying.
Yes. Okay. I'll explain them in a second too. But they've done this thing where they go, yes, there is Hamas, but then there is all the other people in the community who condemn Hamas or aren't in Hamas, and why should we throw the baby out with the bathwater? And
they're doing like what Trump did, they're good people on both sides.
They're good people on both sides.
Which I hated.
What I've said a million times is it'd be like if we elected the Klan to run the United States, and then you went, well, the people of the United States aren't the Klan. Yes, but we let them run our state and we voted for them. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have a horse in a hood. I know, but you understand, you could accurately call us a racist nation if, in fact, we voted the Klan into power and let them run the United States. And it would be on us.
If,
and
in fact,
Palestinians, the majority of them agree. I mean, a majority, over 50%, they're down with Hamas. That's why there is a Hamas amongst them. So you do this thing where you go, well, there's Hamas, and then there's the friendly Palestinians. No, there's Hamas, and then there's a majority of Palestinians who agree, turn a blind eye, or let them conduct business in their town.
This is what years of brainwashing through education system would do to you, sponsored by the United Nations, by all of us taxpayers through UNRWA, the refugee agency for Palestinian Refugee Agency of the United Nations, which needs to be dismantled.
And CARE.
And CARE, exactly. So here's the thing.
CARE,
the United States would be considered racist even just allowing the KKK to run.
Right.
And in 2005, when Hamas proposed themselves to run in the elections, the United States, the EU, Israel, everybody tried to stop them from running. They told the Palestinian people, do not let a terrorist organization that is calling for the destruction of Israel and destruction of all Jews and for jihad being the ultimate goal, right? Don't let them run in the elections. And they did. And they won. And then since 2005, all they did, so 2006 when they took over by force, basically a military coup, right? What they did there was brainwashed an entire generation of people, right? And built an underground world of tunnels that isn't even, Israel kind of thought that they're blocking the border from Hamas from attacking. They thought it's like an attack tunnels inside. No, these tunnels, which we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, right, underground, were created in order to maintain Hamas operatives and terrorists while the people on the ground are dying.
Yes.
So it's these people are insane. They're jihadi, death cult, rape cult. They need to be stopped for the entirety of the Middle East.
And
liberals should say that in America. This is not, I'll keep asking for them.
They're so fucking ass backwards on everything all the time. You have the queers for Palestine marching and stuff. They're they're retarded people. They're just fucking retarded. You got I'm
going to quote Richie Torres, Congressman Richie Torres, who's a dear friend and a huge, he's a progressive, pro-Israel progressive. He's incredible. And when he was in New York, there was a demonstration. He had a girl outside of the demonstration wearing Queers for Palestine. And he came up to her and he goes, so Queers for Palestine, that's great. What about Palestinians for queers? Do you have that?
That's funny.
Yeah, he's good like that.
So, and then you have the presidents of the Ivy League schools, and delicious. It just keeps going. But
that happened like about a week and a half or 2 weeks after I testified in Congress about the connection between campus anti-Semitism and terrorism financing. Let me say that again. There is a connection between campus anti-Semitism and people that are involved in terrorism financing. We know the people, we know the names, we know the connections. I testified in front of Congress for 4 hours in front of the Ways and Means Committee. And 2 weeks later, the Congress was like, well, we need to investigate more, and invited the 3 presidents, and then, 3 of them are out. And
right.
Yeah, so the question for me is not really what's Hamas up to or what the terrorists up to. Whether they're fucking nuts. It's a lost cause. They need to be exterminated.
Yes, they do.
Sorry. They're done. They're just a dog with rabies and fleas.
And when people are calling for ceasefire, right? The reason we're so upset about these calls for ceasefire is not because we don't want ceasefire, because there was a ceasefire on October 6th, okay? And Hamas if Hamas wants a ceasefire, they should stop acting like mafia bosses. Yeah. They basically attack Israel and then they go, oh, no ceasefire. Yeah. No, return the hostages and surrender the rest of the battalions that you have operative. Surrender, demilitarized, return the hostages, you'll get a ceasefire.
Yeah. So it's not them. Obviously, it's the squad and these people. Annie Lennox.
Well, there
are
a lot of people that are signing these letters for ceasefire, not knowing why they shouldn't. You cannot sign a letter for ceasefire if it doesn't call for Hamas being surrender, demilitarized, and return the hostages.
But also, there's some gaslighting going on, which is like they're talking about Benjamin Netanyahu like he's running the war over there, like it's not done by committee. And so what they do is a kind of secret thing. They go like, well, we stand with Israel. Nancy Pelosi, she'll be like, we stand with Israel, but we don't stand with Benny Netanyahu. And it's like, he's not the one who's doing it. They're doing it. The committee is doing it, right? Everyone has got together. It'd be like going, well, I like Biden, but I don't like what Trump's doing. But it'd be like if Trump and Biden and the whole war cabinet, right and left, everyone just got together and went, this is what we're doing, which you don't hear.
Yes. The war cabinet right now is comprised of the right-wing government and Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenkot and Gideon Sa'ar, which are more centrists, and they're making decisions on the war. Listen, this was a war that was forced on Israel that is beyond horrific, and people are forgetting that there's the north as well. There's a north of Israel. Like, people think that Israel is in Gaza and that's it. Israel being attacked constantly, both from the south, still from Hamas, and from the north, from Hezbollah. And I want to point out to something else, right? So there are hundreds of thousands of refugees in Israel right now. Nobody talks about it. So in the north and the south, they're all evacuated. People just basically left. There's anti-tanks missiles every single day, like dozens and dozens and dozens of them that are exploding homes and killing people and going into, bases and farms and so on, right? There was a resolution in 2006 that was signed by Hezbollah, by the Lebanese government, by the United Nations, a UN resolution, Security Council resolution by Israel, called Resolution number 1701. That resolution was basically the resolution that told that Hezbollah needs to be disarmed and move north of Israel, about 18 miles north of the Litani River, right? What happened? And then the UNIFIL, UN forces basically to maintain the peace right there between Israel and Lebanon of Hezbollah, which is, again, Hezbollah is Iran, Hamas is Iran, it's all Iran, right? What happened since 2006 is slowly, UNIFIL left, so the UN forces left, and Hezbollah just started moving towards the border and like basically sitting on the border. And now Hezbollah is on the border shooting at Israel. If Israel has to go to the north and go into Lebanon to retaliate against Hezbollah, guess what the world is going to do? The world's going to be up in arms because a resolution that Hezbollah signed, they're not fulfilling a UN resolution, right? So we're in a position right now which the world doesn't even know that there's crap going on in the north every single day. It's evacuated from citizens. It's constantly under attack. And Israel needs to deal with that threat as well. Right? Yeah. But we're going to do it, and we have to do it. We're going to have to do this. And I'm asking, if you're not calling for Hezbollah to cease fire right now, then don't call on Israel to cease fire when Israel gets into Lebanon to take care of that threat.
So what's up with the squad? What's up with the folks here? Like, to me, it's so obvious. So what happens with the squad and Rashida Tlaib and all those fucking idiots? You guys get what you deserve.
Bless their hearts, as we say in the South.
Voting these people in, you fucking idiots. So what you get is like, look, I got a boy and a girl. And, they're twins, they're the same age, and it's like if people keep saying to me, well, it seems like you favor the boy over the girl. I go, no, I've got great love for my daughter. She's grounded right now. Well,
why? Because
she came home after 8 p.m., but she's 17. It was a sad, she's grounded. Anyway, the boy's riding he's riding one of those scooters through the house right now. And then they go, but it does seem like you talk a lot of negative stuff about, no, there's great love. There's great love. Hold on, I have to beat her with my flip-flop for a second, and we can talk about this. It does seem like maybe you don't like your daughters. That's what. No, there's great love.
We love the Jews.
Respect.
We love Israel.
There's great respect, but you have to understand she's a cunt who won't shut up. But there's great love. There's great love and respect. Hold on, the boy's ripping a bong load. You need a light? Daddy's got a lighter. Okay, son. Okay. Yeah, that's what they do. And my thing is, I don't believe you bitches anymore. You're anti-Semitic. You don't like Jews. I don't know why. I guess it's a part of the world you come from. I don't know why. Just fucking admit it. But you won't admit it. And they're never disciplined because it's like, but everybody needs to be respected. They're so fucking full of shit. It drives me nuts.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. There's nothing I can even say to that other than like it's the same. To that example, it's like, no, we love Israel, except it's all about the Benjamins.
Right.
We love Israel, except from the river to the sea means an inspirational. No, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free means eliminating the Jews from the state of Israel, destroying the state of Israel, and ethnically cleansing the Jews from their ancestral land.
Yes.
That's what from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Democrats, you got what you got it. And now they're fucked up because Biden is kind of worried about the nutty lefty wing of his party and trying to sort of keep everyone happy. So
it's very hard to keep them happy. They're a little sour.
No, they're never satisfied.
Never.
They're never happy.
They're never satisfied.
It's called a progressive movement. I tell all the time, it's got progress and movement in the title, and it doesn't. You want it to stop and for them to be happy? There is no stop.
Right.
They go right on to the next grievance. They're just grievance oriented. And they're kind of dumb, too. Like, they're not intelligent people.
Listen, specifically about this issue, I'm kind of like we're looking around and are in complete shock. A lot in the Jewish community were shocked because the Jewish community predominantly votes Democratic, and the Jewish community was on the front line of every single social justice movement throughout history, including the 60s, including whatever, right?
Well,
all the way back to, and all of a sudden, the Jewish community turned around and was like, there were hundreds of women being raped in Israel, and the women's groups are not saying anything. Nothing.
Yeah. Well,
it's crazy.
Also, first off, the great Dennis Prager always says the Jews should preach what they practice. Yeah. They practice education, they practice family, And then they vote Democrat and they shut the fuck up whenever the subject comes up about another group, like the black community or something like that. So,
by the way, this is to take us back. The reason that there's such a schism between the black community and the Jewish community was one of the main reasons that Emmanuel Acho and I wanted to write this book. Because there's a real issue, and the only people that win when two minority communities fight against each other are the people in power, and it's stupid. It should stop.
Yeah. I can explain to you what the problem the black community has with the Jewish community
Please
is,
do.
because
I
I
wonder
didn't
if it's
understand it very well.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about this for 25 years. No one ever listens to me. I'm just right about everything.
Right.
The blacks had an injustice done to them as a community, Jim Crow, slavery, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
The Jews have also had a few atrocities.
Just a couple.
On their watch.
Just a handful throughout the thousands of years.
The Jews are very successful because they focused on family and education. The blacks have fallen off because they did not focus on family and education. And there's nothing worse than you saying the reason we're not thriving in this community is because of this atrocity that happened in the past. Well, there's nothing worse than a group who is thriving with their own atrocity that happened in a shorter period of time historically. You don't have to go back as far to get to the Holocaust. And then in terms of, oppression and general society shunning, I think the Jews have the blacks beat in terms of historically and worldwide in terms of who's got a bigger target on their back, yet the Jews thrive. So nobody wants, it's essentially this. You're saying, I couldn't win this running race because my elbow was injured the week before, and then your coach goes, that guy had a blown out knee the week before, after you hurt your elbow, and he just won the race. And then you hate that guy. That's the way it works. That's the dynamic. No one wants to talk about it. It's the answer. It's sad, but that's where we're at. And the Jews in general are hated because they prosper. That's about it. Nobody wants to be living in their fucking shit mud hut over there, eating chicken shit for dinner and seeing people thriving next door. It's all envy. And it's a problem because the way to get everyone to like you would be to fail. But
Fuck that.
And sadly, that's what's going on with the black community as well. I've been talking about it for years.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't want to speak.
No one will agree with me because it's super unpopular.
Right,
but that's
of course,
the
but
truth.
That's your job.
There's no other way to explain it. You guys march with blacks. Nobody's been riding shotgun for the blacks more than the Jews. There's no reason they should have this feeling toward the Jews. And it's only this dynamic.
Right.
So
there's also been a brainwash, like an actual activation from the Palestinian movement and the
Black
Russians.
Lives Matter had to fucking side with Palestine and put a hang glider on there?
Way before Black Lives Matter. Like Angela Davies and there's like a KGB infiltration. There's a whole shit happening there between the black community and the Jewish community, and we got to hear. All I can say is this in terms of the Jewish community, right? So if I would tell you that there's been a group of people, and not a particularly militarized group of people, just kind of like studious and kind of geeky group of people that throughout history, every empire that had the power tried to systematically and intentionally destroy them. Very small group. And throughout history, every time throughout history, they didn't just survive, they also thrived. And I'd tell you you'd be like, that's statistically, that's impossible. But I'd be like, that didn't just happen one time. That happened again and again and again and again and again and again and again. There's something about the Jewish community and the Jewish way of living, and it's not a secret. This is not some sort of a weird, it's literally all online, right? How the Jewish community, how people live, what we prioritize, what it is that's important, that brings results. That brings results, and it's a beautiful thing that I, as an author and a Jewish activist, am all about Jewish pride. Like I wear more stars of David than I can carry. Because a lot of the time the Jews, because we're so afraid, right? Like epigenetically afraid to be rounded up, slaughtered, killed. Yes. That's why October 7 was so triggering for the entire world Jewish community, because the same stories from the Holocaust came back and happened again, right?
Yes.
But that never helped. So my whole thing is to Be proud of who we are. Open up to show what it is that we do that really works. Be more about making the world a better place. And we're gonna survive this moment in time as well.
Do you think couple things?
We're not very good with like we're very good. It's kind of like Jews are very good with what's it's called post-traumatic growth. Mm-hmm. So the Jewish community is very good with that. We have a post-trauma, and then we rally up and we're like, all right, let's just make lemonade out of this shit.
The other gaslighting that goes on, especially with Biden, is white supremacy is the biggest problem this nation faces. The number one terrorist threat is white supremacy. And then they all do this thing where they go like, look, I'm not for anti-Semitism, but Islamophobia is not. It's like, okay, you're not comparing the numbers. Just don't match up. You're talking about Islamophobia being a huge problem. By the way, we're right to be a little Islamophobic in this country. They do tend to, per capita, blow up more shit than other groups do.
I'll call it jihadism, and we'll agree with you on that.
Yes. Okay. That's number one. Number two, they bring up white supremacy like every 10 minutes as if that's the real problem that's going on in this country, not the Jew hatred. They act like it's a bunch of shit kickers driving in a pickup truck. Like that's the Jews' problems. Right. No, it's every fucking idiot on every college campus. That's the Jews' problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's
they're such liars, by the way. It's so fucking sad.
Let's just make sure that it's clear that we're against all hate and it's all crap and shouldn't be around. No doubt.
There's some judgment that can.
I told you what my judgment is. I don't think. Listen, I very much judge jihadi culture. Mm-hmm. Very much so. Super judge it. I'm not agnostic about it. It's terrible. It's fucked up and it needs to be killed. Right? There's no. That's just it. And if you're equivocating it, and if you're like, well, in that culture, what? In that culture, it's okay to honor kill? No, absolutely not. But here's the thing: when people bring up, there's no doubt that anti-Semitism is the biggest kind of hate. First of all, it's the largest number of hate crimes per capita, the religious-based hate crimes in America. That's number one. And number two, when you say anti-Semitism and you immediately have to cover up your ass and say Islamophobia.
They all do.
That's, which a lot of them do. That, to me, and I understand this when I talk to my friends from the black community, that's like saying literally 5 days after the George Floyd thing happened, Blue Lives Matter.
Right. All right. Can we get some of your Jewish friends to stop voting for these people?
You think I have way too much power than I do. I can't get them to do anything.
There is no cabal, by the way. Did you know that? People.
There is a lot of drifting away. There are a lot of Jews that feel partyless. Yeah, a lot in the Jewish community are very shocked. But I don't think that's just like the Jewish community. I think it's also normal Americans are looking to the extreme right and extreme left and being like,
no,
what's going on here?
The Jews overwhelmingly vote for the Democratic Party for reasons that are unclear other than sort of cultural acceptance, because none of what they believe are embraced by that group, and it turns out that group's not fans of theirs. So I think at some point...
Again, I'm going to point out two people like Steny Hoyer and like Richie Torres and like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and like there are a lot of, members of Congress and Senate that are that get it, that totally gets it. Like it's the crazies that are... it's the ones that get invited to the Met.
Well, I would basically say, look, blacks vote for Democrats. Democrats are not for school choice. That's a big issue to the black community and impacts them at a higher rate than other communities. And it's the same sort of schism. Like, listen, maybe you should think about voting a different direction.
People vote against their interests so often.
Do not embrace your thoughts.
Yeah,
I know. Well, let me give you a plug here, Noah, since we could go on forever, but we're always out of time. Uncomfortable Conversations with a Jew, and it's available for pre-order as we speak. Yes, it is.
Will you have us, me and Emmanuel, again when the book comes out?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for doing the good work.
Thank you so much for having me.